Let's talk a little Guardians, guys, but first, a quick word from two advertisers with the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. The first is Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. This next segment's also brought to us by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are starting up next week, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you get $250 in bonus bets if their first $5 bet wins. Don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Jay, before we dive into the Guardians this weekend, WKYC and the Cleveland Guardians are continuing their 20-year partnership. WKYC will be the home for 10 separate Guardians games this year, Jay, and no one presents Cleveland Guardians games better than you guys do upstairs at Channel 3.
We're pumped. We're very excited about this. I think fans should be excited because it gives fans an opportunity to see them on over-the-air free television, which, believe it or not, in television is becoming in vogue again. We talked on this show when the Suns were purchased not long ago that the new owner decided, well, what am I going to do with the contract? Well, who do I want the local? I'm going to put all the games on local over-the-air broadcast TV. It's kind of a cut off your nose to spite your face move when they were moved to cable or pay, because that's a pay platform. Especially in a market like Cleveland where we have one of the highest poverty levels I know of all the major sports cities, but in almost all of the United States.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people, and it doesn't sound like, people hear it like, come on, man, what is it, an extra $10 a month? Pony up. Some people don't have it. A lot of people don't have it. And what they've done in this long-term play of taking their games to pay TV is you've lost fans. You've lost the opportunity to have the next generation of fans, because if they're growing up in a household where there's not the opportunity to watch baseball games, guess what that means? They're not going to be fans.
No.
So it's a long-term play to put them on over-the-air free television. Will we ever get to a point where there's 162 games free? No, because they need the pay source. They need the revenue. But I think it is a nice move in the right direction that they're going to simulcast these 10 games, and I'm thrilled to be at the station that happens to be putting those games on television, because I do think I am a seamhead to the core. I try to promote baseball whenever I can, and this allows me to tell the people that in the past have used as an excuse, well, I can't afford them. Now you can. It's free. It's over the air. It's only 10 games. But when I was a kid, I don't know what the number was. I'd have to go back and look. 1972, how many games were televised? Maybe 30?
Man.
It was a big deal when they were on TV.
In the 80s, I remember I had to see about 60 games on WUAB.
Yes, when they went to 43.
Yeah, 43. They was on all the time taking L's, but that's how I got to see them.
Took a lot of L's.
A lot of L's during the 80s, man.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And always on the road, never at home. But could never see the home games.
No, could never watch it. And that was, so the thinking there was I remember,
crazy.
You know who changed all this, oddly enough? Ted Turner. Ted Turner, when he bought WTBS, it was Channel 17 in Atlanta. It was just an over-the-air UHF unaffiliated television station. And he said, I want to make this a big deal. I want to make it a super station.
Yeah.
So he went and launched a satellite in the sky, which no local television station had ever done. The networks had them, but no locals. And he did it with the sole intent of, I am going to make available to the entire United States of America a baseball game a day.
And he did it.
And they became, their marketing was America's team.
And then they started doing, they had a weird time called 8:15. Like the games would start at 8:15. I'm like, well, everybody watched the Braves. It was
that
just
was
like,
done intentionally.
Yeah.
Put them in a primetime window, maximize their viewership. And here's what Ted commissioned a study. He said, I want to know, how will the games being on TV affect my gate, affect my attendance? And then you start dollar cost averaging and saying, will the difference between being able to sell national advertising supersede whatever I will lose at the gate? And you know what they found? Didn't affect the gate. Baseball is baseball. People love to go to the games. That's why the road games used to be on, because they didn't want you to not come to the home games.
That's not what was preventing people.
That is not what. You know what? You want to fix something? Stop losing 100 a year.
Right.
Well, speaking of losing, Jay, we got to dive into what happened to the Guardians this weekend.
They lost.
We're on Friday's show, and I know you weren't here, but Bo was sitting in your chair and said he liked the pitching matchups against the Angels. They were not going to face their top pitcher. He liked each of the individual matchups. Jose hits 3 home runs on Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday did not go as planned. When you look at the start of the season to the Guardians, and Jay, you mentioned it off the top here, they may just not have that magic they had last season. What is the issue, I guess, for lack of a better way to phrase it, that has prohibited this team from living up to the preseason expectations?
Well, this is simple. Strikeouts are down and home runs are up for the pitching staff. They're giving up more home runs than they did last year, and they're not striking out as many guys. And in 2025, baseball is predicated on home runs and strikeouts. How many times are you missing bats, and how many times are you hitting out of the park? And it's 9 games, right? Like, there's still plenty of time to go. So I don't even know if that's enough of a sample size to say it's a trend. I'm just pointing out the fact that if you look at home runs per 9 innings and strikeouts per 9 innings, the pitching it's not. I thought that they would take. I thought it'd be better than what we've seen so far. The lineup actually has been moderately decent at times. They're hitting the ball out of the park a little bit more, but the pitching hasn't been there. And there you see Tanner Bibee really struggled in his last start. We've talked about how important he is to this team. Jose's off to a great start.
He never could start so hot.
No,
Yeah.
this is a great start. But you know what's wrong with that line?
4 homers, 6 RBIs.
Most of his home runs are solo home
Yeah,
runs.
nobody's on base.
Nobody's on base. You're wasting them.
Yeah.
I didn't like the move. I was 100% against the move. I'm even more against it. I know it's small sample size. We've played 8% of the season. I can't freak out about it, but I don't think that's going to change. Now, he's hitting the ball, but I just don't want my best hitter.
There was a moment. One of the home runs came with 2 outs, and I thought of you because I thought,
Yep.
innings over if Jose's not up and they just got a 2-run homer out of it. I think it was one during the 3-homer game on Friday night.
Well, the other 2 were solo shots.
Where it was like, I can't remember. I should have texted because I remember thinking.
I'm looking it up right now. Hold on.
You can find it where it was there was 2 outs and Jose hit, I think, a 2-run homer. And I thought, boy, if that could be the difference there in leading off the next inning or
with nobody on base.
Yeah. or taking advantage of that spot. So I see both sides of it. I hear what you're saying.
By the way, that's not the only reason they're 3-6.
Of course not. Yeah, a big reason they're 3-6 is because their strikeouts are down and the home runs are up on the pitching staff, and the bullpen hasn't been nearly what it was.
I say
last
this every year.
Yeah,
I remember 2 years ago having a conversation with pitching coach and manager. Okay, saying, how do you feel about recreating your dominance from the bullpen a year ago? Because the hardest thing to do is to recreate it. And it was kind of laughed off as, yeah, we hear that all the time, but
Can't do that.
there's a reason you hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Year to year, dog.
Year to year. And what are we seeing about the bullpen this year? My God, they leak oil every time they come into the game. They walk guys. Yesterday, I thought for the most part they did get a good starting pitching performance, but you absolutely tube an 0-2 slider.
yeah.
Like that, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even try to nibble. I think it hit the nitro zone. And you can't do that when you're 0-2. So I can't even say yesterday, I know it looks like a quality start. He went 6, he gave up 3.
Yep.
And for all
And
the
didn't
other
walk
time,
anyone. That's huge.
yes, that
For
was
him,
great.
that's huge.
It was great. But, I mean, it was the best start they had. It's the best start they've had all year, I believe, except for maybe Bibee 2 Sundays ago when they lifted him too early because he retired 13 in a row, then he walked a guy, then they got him out. I think it will change the way the bullpen is used if the bullpen keeps pitching like this because Cade Smith can't get outs. Oh, my God.
It's
I feel bad
scary.
for Tristan McKenzie.
It's scary.
He's not.
because
I don't even know who that guy is anymore.
It's like telling your defensive football, hey, listen, last year we got all these turnovers, and
Yep.
did expect to get them same turnovers.
No.
There's a little bit of luck involved. There's a little bit of, when the best part of your game is the bullpen, that's a little scary because we've seen people be great one year and then the next year fall completely off.
It's tough.
So And guess what? I was gonna come over here and talk about the Sticks, but like Jason said, Sticks ain't been crazy. They ain't been crazy, but they ain't been bad either.
No,
they've been getting some time to hit. Jose is off to a good start. My thing is this, man. I think they're just going to. I don't think they're going to hit enough home runs. I just don't think they're going to hit enough home runs in order to keep up with some of these other. Now, granted, they're in a bad division, and not a bad division, but the division is nowhere near some of the other ones.
Yeah,
and they'll stay afloat.
It's not the NL West.
I had it like this. In the end, I had either Detroit, Kansas City, and Minnesota over them. But as you can see, they're even with Minnesota. They'll be able to tread water all year. It's just the fact that. I'm just looking where are they going to get stops if you lose 1-2 games in a row? Who's the pitcher that comes in and says no? Mark me down for this quality 6 innings and getting the win. I don't know where I'm getting.
Hasn't been Class A. Smith hasn't been Smith. Hey Jay, have you asked anybody? I meant to reach out again. Are any of the guys using torpedo bats?
I haven't seen.
I've been looking with my eyes. I haven't seen anybody that's using them.
And again, they were around last year.
But not like they are now.
No, but they were around and in existence last year.
Yeah, because a lot of teams have added. You guys have added them.
Yeah.
Because why not? They see what the Yankees are doing, so they've added them. I'm yet to see anybody in the Guardians lineup unless I'm just missing it. Some of them don't have as much taper back in.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of hard to pick it up.
Some of them are obvious. Some of them maybe not so much. I haven't spotted with my eye. I haven't seen anyone.
I'm ordering one and I'm going to use it. I want to just see,
check it out.
I want to feel
why are these so much better?
What they've done was essentially the old bat tapers steadily up.
Uh-huh.
So the fattest part is the end.
Yeah. Well,
leave it to an MIT scientist. And then the Yankees went to some MIT folks and said, hey, you guys are physicists. Help us on, maybe there's a let's break the paradigm of the baseball bat. And they said the first thing they came up with was, well, do you ever hit the ball off the very tip? And if you do, what can you expect from it? Well, it's an out.
Yeah.
And your bat probably breaks.
And the bat breaks. And no, the idea is to not hit it there. Okay, so let's take some of that bulk away. Let's move the sweet spot down the barrel. And in making the upper half now thinner, you're making it lighter, which increases your bat speed.
How the heck?
I know. 150 years we've been using the telephone pole.
How did Major League Baseball, with all their rules and regulations and all their records, let you get that off?
It's still legal.
It is legal because in the definition, the rule book is very funny. It talks about how the bat can be, I think, no wider than 2 and 6/7 inch or
yeah,
6.
I
don't
thought
know.
it was 2 1/4, but
maybe it's. I thought it was a little bigger, but whatever it is, it can be no bigger than that. And it's funny. The paradigm is when you're on a lathe and you're working, it's easier to make something gradually taper than it is to come back in. Like, okay, picture a leg on a chair. And oftentimes they have designs like this. Mm-hmm. That's a difficult spin on a wood lathe because now you're going in and back out and you're doing that. Well, with a baseball bat, it's easy, just and you just taper it up. You can make a thin handle. Like I've got some infielders bats. They're called infielders bats because typically in the old days they were smaller. They wanted a lighter bat. Those have thinner handles. And then sometimes the Rico Cardi bats that are 40 ounces, they're just chunk all the way in the meat spot, but that's hard to swing.
What they're banning something. The Major League Baseball is like, no, we're not going to have this anymore. I don't know.
No, this is good for baseball. Rob Manfred came out and said,
great for baseball.
This is awesome. People are talking about baseball. They need more home runs.
You know what
they
they've
want
done?
More offense.
They have now again. The Yankees had one game where they went bananas, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, they're using a different bat. They're cheating." No, and here's the other thing. I need to look at an entire season, and I want to look at all the guys that use torpedo bats and all the guys that use the traditional bats and find out what the home run ratio is, home runs per at bat.
It also helps.
It's too short of a sample size now to know.
Yeah,
this is wild.
Yeah, and I mean the abilities obviously has a lot to do with it
as well.
And Aaron Judge doesn't use one, which is what's interesting.
Now, Aaron Judge doesn't need to use one.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge could pull a telephone pole out of the ground and swing it and hit a home run.
This is
you got a good look at one?
Oh, wow, this is different.
Now, that one doesn't even taper back in as much. That one is steady all the way to the end.
I just wonder if it swings, if it feels almost like an unloaded, or if it swings different.
So that's what I want to. So what I want to do is, I want to test. That's a good look at one.
Yeah,
that's a more dramatic.
I don't know if you guys can see that.
So what I want to do is I want to use it in the cages first, and I want to see how the weight distribution on the bat changes.
Yeah.
Do you get that natural, almost like a whip, like a flip,
Right.
because where the weight is distributed on the bat now, and also I want to feel how the ball comes off the bat, and particularly when you hit it in that sweet spot, is it traveling farther? Does it come off with a different sound? I'll know a half hour into a cage session. I'll be able to formulate my own opinion, but it doesn't mean it's science. It just means that's what I'm experiencing.
There's nothing more in sports that feels better than hit a baseball on a sweet spot.
Nothing.
And know you hit it, and it just feels like nothing.
It is, and I tell people this, it is the greatest feeling in the world.
When you got all of it, let's see.
And here's what's funny. You also know when you just miss it.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I was reading about it the first weekend. I was reading some of the players' comments, and they were saying a lot of the balls that you were just missing are going over the fence.
Yeah.
So what you've done is,
baseball.
if you increase the home run total by
like
8%, that is a dramatic shift. And now you've got baseball back into the steroid era. But here's what they're going to have to do. I was telling another lifelong baseball player and fan like myself, I told him this last week. You might actually now have to read, because everybody's saying, what are you going to do with the records? They can't. There are some traditionalists that want them to keep using the old bats. Because they're saying, look, if everyone's using them, there's no advantage, there's no disadvantage. You keep the eras intact. But baseball is struggling. And if you can reinvigorate the game like it was in 2000 when you had the summer of the home run with Sosa and McGuire, and you could do that naturally without risking the health of the players, and all you're doing is making a subtle change to the main piece of equipment, you do that, and here's what happens. If guys start hitting 80 home runs a year, and I think that could absolutely happen, then you have the live bat era.
Yeah.
So we went from the dead ball era to the live ball era, and home run totals are looked at completely different. When Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs, I believe he hit more home runs than 9 teams combined. Than 9 other teams had with all of their home runs added up. Babe Ruth out-homered 9 teams by himself.
That's wild.
So you'll have some demolishing of records. But that's good.
You
know what's terrible? Well, this record will never be broken.
I hate that.
We love to see records broken. We love it.
I want more Brady Andersons. I want Brady guys.
The amount of drugs he had to have been on.
Oh,
boy.
He was like $170 and he never hit no more than 20 home runs,
and then he hit
51 or 52.
Yeah.
And he was on the cover of every fitness magazine on the planet.
Jacked up. I said, I like this era.
That was the steroid era.
There was old black ladies going to like random ballparks. Like they showed it in Chicago. There were the Sammy Sosa stuff. There was regular black people from the inner city that had never watched the Cubs. And they were just packing the stadiums out.
Sure.
And they would come on at the end of this is like Dan Rather and those news guys and Mark McGuire.
It was the lead story on the evening news just about every night
week.
in the month of September.
Yep.
Every night.
Because Sosa would homer and then McGuire would homer. And they were the graphics. Sosa 55, McGuire 57.
People go to water
now
cooler.
remember, nobody had ever hit 62. The record was 60 until 1961 when Maris hit 61, and that record stood for 37 years until 98 when it was not broken by both guys, it was demolished. Someone asked me, well, what was it like? What would you equate it to? And I said, that'd be like if 2 guys tomorrow ran an 8-second 100.
Yeah.
What are you going to say if that happens? They're cheating.
I mean, Rafael Palmeiro was hitting singles. And then he started hitting 50 home runs.
Yeah.
I said, bro, Rafi, when did he get this game?
When he started doing Viagra commercials.
So, Jay,
he was on another type of drug.
Before we move on, 3 and 6.
There's the wood joke in there. I'm not going to make it.
To start the season.
Yeah.
It's early, so once again, no need to overreact to any of this yet. It's still very, very early, but more concerning through 9 games, the offense or the pitching.
Pitching.
Also, the defense has not been that great either.
No, it hasn't, but that's to be expected. And then it doesn't help when Andres Jimenez goes and hits 5 home runs in 3 days or whatever.
And
whatever he did.
Did he change his name or something?
No, I mean, Yandy did the same thing.
Yeah,
when Yandy went to Tampa, he hit 3 home runs. Everyone went, there you go.
Yeah, I know.
And then
well, Nolan Jones, look at what Nolan Jones.
Yeah.
Now he's with us again. How's he look?
But Yandy is still Yandy. He had he is what he is, and
Yeah.
I think Himmy is what Himmy is. Maybe he does hit 20 this year.
Look,
I don't know.
we know he's got
He
it in
out
him.
there.
He had a great year. It led to a big contract, and then his offense fell off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even.
I know he's hot about this. He is not happy
would
about
too.
the trade. And I read this is just a fan's account. These are anecdotal stuff. I don't know if it's consistent with his behavior or not. But I read something from a fan who wrote, wow, what's going on between Jimenez and the Guardians? We went to a Blue Jays game at spring training, and we thought that we would, support him. And we're like, hey, Himmy, we love you in Cleveland. And his reaction was visceral. Like, I won't say what was reported to have been said, but it was like, whoa, this dude's holding a grudge to Cleveland fans even.
Hey, he was.
And that could be why he started off so hot.
He was sold as he felt like he was the face of the franchise. They had to make it.
He was next up, G.
We
next up.
had said, we won the Lindor trade.
Yes.
We won it because of Himmy.
Like he made an all-star team. His glove was dynamic. He was hitting the ball, and then it's like he had a couple bad years, and they was like, "We're regretting giving you that bag." He's like, "What you talking about?" Like,
yeah, it happened quick.
It happened quick,
and I think he's bitter about it, and maybe that's extra motivation. Teams typically tend to do much better when they face the team that traded them later in their career. Not always, but a lot of times you'll see, the Guardians traded this guy 2 years ago, and his lifetime, or now his stats against the Guardians since he's hitting .518 with 6 home runs and 13 RBI. You do. I know I do. I try harder against certain people and teams.
Andrew Wiggins did that against Andrew Wiggins scored like 40 against the Cavs
every time he played. Yeah, and then he'd go out the next night and score 5.
Yeah.
So there's something to that. But to answer your question, Mike, I'm far more concerned right now about the pitching than I am the hitting, because I do think there are a lot of things about the lineup I like. I've seen some positive things. I thought Brian Rocchio would kind of be playoff Brian Rocchio.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised.
And he has gone back to regular season Brian Rocchio, and who knows, maybe he is Bucky Dent or,
it's April 7th.
I know, way too early to make any snap judgments. But, you can only judge by what you've seen so far, and I'm concerned by what I've seen so far.
Yeah.
I am for sure.